All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast. My name is Adam. Thank you so much for being here. I super appreciate you're joining us. This week's going to be relatively quick, but informative because this week we're going to look at going over the 7 most Googled fitness and weight loss questions according to Google's Gemini, which don't ask it any political questions because it's definitely being influenced. Or historical questions at that, apparently, because apparently it at one point did not think the Holocaust happened, and you could not find information about it. So anyway, this is going to be super easy, super basic, and I'm hopefully very informative for especially people who are novices or people who are starting out this fitness and weight loss journey. Okay, so let's just jump right in, okay? First of all, thank you for being here. We pray God blesses you, and we pray God gives back to you abundantly every bit of investment you put into your health. He gives it back to you in years, lifespan, joy, and flourishing, okay? So every investment matters, and it definitely has a compounding effect. So the first question that is the number one most Googled question is, what is the best way to lose weight? Now, that is the number one, but it's also a terrible question, okay? The question should be, what is the best way to lose fat? Okay, because most people, when they want to lose weight, what they do is they go on to some type of crash diet and they do a bunch of cardio. And yes, the total amount of weight on the scale is dropped, but a large percentage of that is muscle mass, which is why you just got smaller. So you don't look great bigger at this size, and now you just don't look good, but you're smaller. Okay, because you lost a bunch of muscle mass and fat. So the best way to lose body fat is through strength training. It is unequivocal at this point. Cardio is great for your overall health, but in the long run, losing body fat, you need to strength train. You need to lift weights. You need to build muscle mass. It's what it's going to do is it's going to increase. One, you're going to burn about the same amount of calories as when you do cardio. 2, you're going to build muscle mass, so you're going to protect muscle mass. And then 3, you're going to put on muscle mass, which is denser than body fat. So it's going to cause a more of an energy burn because muscle mass is very expensive to maintain. So you're actually just burning more calories sitting around breathing with more muscle mass than with more fat on your body. Okay. So obviously we do know that in order to lose body fat, we have to be in some form of caloric restriction. You have to be in some form of restriction. You cannot have the same amount of energy coming in through your food and expecting that just working out harder is going to, make you lose a bunch of body fat. It's very difficult for an average person. An average is a large number of people. It's very difficult for them to burn, like, let's say 1,000 calories in a workout. The average person, me, I'm 200 pounds. If I work out for an hour and a half, I may burn about 800 calories, okay? And I work out hard. So it's very difficult for somebody who is a novice at this to burn off the kind of calories you could easily eat in eating a few slices of pizza or eating a row of Oreos, anything like that. So you have to have some form of restriction. So we know that. So the best way, the number one question is, what's the best way to lose weight? Which is a bad question. We need to know with fat because we don't want to lose muscle mass and fat because everybody has bodybuilding goals, okay? Everybody wants to have less fat, more muscle because we know that looks better and metabolically it is healthier. So the question should be, how do I lose more fat? Okay, and you do that through a calorie restriction, a caloric restrictions of some type, strength training, and daily movement. Okay. Number 2, how much protein do I need? Now, some people are like, what they want in this question is, you need 3 chicken breasts, or you need a handful of this or that. But honestly, the best way to answer this is you need about, the best research shows that you need about 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight. That comes out to about 0.82 grams per pound of body weight. And that gives you, it maximizes most of what you need, okay? So let's say if somebody, my height, let's figure it out real quick. Somebody, my height or my weight, 200 pounds. I'm gonna do it right here, 200, and we're gonna go times 0.82 comes out to 164 grams of protein for me at a minimum, because my goal is to maximize muscle mass. And if you are in the camp of question 1, where you're trying to lose as much fat as possible, well, then protein is your number one go-to macronutrient, because it's going to fill you up. It's going to protect your lean mass. So you're going to be burning body fat rather than your lean mass in your calorie deficit. And it's going to keep you full longer. Okay. So about, 0.82 grams per pound of body weight. If you wanted to do, I don't like to do people's lean body mass, because most people have no idea how much body fat they actually have. And then some people, if you say, 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight, which does work for some people, but many times people's ideal body weight is way lower than what they can actually do right now. I cannot tell you the number of people who come to me in their 40s after they've had 4 children and a lot of years of work and stress, and say, hey, well, in high school, I weighed this. You're like, yeah, but you ain't high school no more, okay? And that body you're walking around with now is not the same body that was in high school, right? So many times people have unrealistic expectations, unrealistic goals, because they just don't understand how things actually work in the context that they're in. So you need more protein than you're probably eating. This is especially true for women. And some ladies will tell me, oh, I just don't like protein. I just don't enjoy meat. The more you eat it, the better it gets. Okay. You have to push it. And if you are older and you're trying to maximize your older years, you need more protein than you think. There is something called anabolic resistance, where you just don't turn over proteins and amino acids as well. So even the amounts you are eating, if you're eating very little, like many people do in older ages, they're not even using the majority of what you have. Or you're using the majority of it, but you're not using all of it, okay? So you need more than you think. And a good proxy for this is to say, hey, if you're eating 3 meals a day, make sure 50% of that meal is protein-based, okay? And animal protein-based is the best. You can do plants, but then you're getting less of it, because plant-based proteins do have to go through a conversion process in the body, which yields lower amounts of usable protein, okay? You can be healthy on plant-based proteins. You will be healthiest on a combination of animal-based and plant-based, or animal-based in general, okay? So you need more protein than you think. If you're eating 2 to 3 meals a day, make sure protein is the star of every meal, all right? Question 2, can I lose weight without exercise? Okay, this smacks of being lazy, I know, but hey, that's enough. Talking to the puppy. This smacks of being lazy, but I know some people are like, hey, I just want to lose weight. I don't really have time for the gym right now, blah, 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 blah. Okay, now the issue with this is, yes, you can lose weight without exercise, but again, you're going to lose a lot of lean muscle mass as well, which is going to put you in a worse metabolic state than if you just went and did cardio, right? Or, got on a normal diet with strength training, okay? So this is a big problem with people who are taking GLP-1 agonists, or like semaglutide, Ozempic, Wegovy. People who are taking these, people get the Ozempic face. That's what they're calling that, Ozempic face. And the reason is because most of the people, and the studies are showing that people who are using these pharmaceutical assistants to lose weight, 25%, at least 25% of what they're losing is muscle mass. So when they're done taking Ozempic, okay, now their metabolic rate is even slower, okay, even slower than it was when they started, because they have less muscle mass. And then they have less muscle mass. So, sorry, I was distracted. You have less muscle mass, therefore your metabolic rate is lower, therefore it's easier to gain the weight back because you probably didn't change. Most people don't. They use the drugs to not have to change their disciplines. If you don't change your disciplines, you're going to gain the weight back. If you do it this way, the way most people do it, by just losing weight without focusing on protein, focusing on strength training, focusing on making sure that you're getting at least 0.82 grams of protein per pound of body weight. If you're not focusing on those things, then you're going to gain that weight back faster and probably then some. So you're going to get more of it, okay? So the question is not, can you lose weight when you are without exercise? The question is, should you, right? No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't try to lose weight without exercise because you're just going to put yourself in a fat gaining, like a place of gaining more fat even faster. And you're going to be less healthy than when you were before. Okay. So again, we're back to question 1, strength training, calorie deficit. Question 2, make sure you got plenty of protein. Same answers. All right. Number 4, what are the best foods for fat loss? Now, this is one of those marketing ploys that everybody says that's like, hey, you need this food to lose weight. There is no such thing as a fat loss food. There are only fat loss techniques. And the best way to do this is to find a way to get into a calorie deficit. Okay. The best way to do that is to make sure you're eating plenty of protein, plenty of fibrous vegetables because they're filling, right? And they have lots of fiber in them so that your stomach feels full. Therefore, you're not hungry. Hunger is one of the number one things that derails most people's diet plans. And then making sure that you're exercising and lifting weights, okay? So what are the best foods? It's the foods that will keep you full longest for the fewest amount of calories. And usually that is leaner cuts of protein, like, leaner steak, chicken, fish. Most fish is still pretty lean compared to animals, compared to livestock foods. And then lots of fruits and vegetables, some potatoes, carbs and stuff in there, but they need fiber with them, okay? So like rice and bread and things like that are not filling, but potatoes are extremely filling. If you try to eat the same amount of grams of carbs from potatoes that you get from rice, you are going to have a hard time finishing it because the potatoes have so much fiber in them, okay? So what are the best foods for fat loss? The foods that keep you full, the foods that protect your muscle mass, the foods that keep you from binging or, uncontrollably or mindlessly snacking, snacking is just another name for unplanned eating. So the best foods for fat loss, there's no goji berries, there's no freaking blueberries, there's no, all that is marketing. Realize when people are trying to sell you something, their chances are they're factually bending things, all right? So there are no fat loss foods. There are only fat loss strategies and disciplines that help you get to where you want to be, all right? Next one. How do we shred belly fat really fast? Okay, because this is typically what people are going to type in before they're going on a beach trip. They don't have the disciplines that they should have throughout the year to keep themselves at a pretty consistent body weight. I stay within a 5 to 10 pound body weight all year round. That's not a flex on my part. That's just disciplines. That's just how I live. Okay, and the longer you do that, and the longer you ingrain things like weightlifting and cardio and eating sensibly in your life, it's much easier to maintain without trouble. I can actually veer off the tracks for about a week. I could go on vacation right now for about a week. I would gain about 8 or 9 pounds. A lot of it would be water, but I would be right back on track within a week, right? My weight would be right back down within a week. So, and it's because you build up this machinery that continues to operate in a specific groove. Your body wants to stay in the groove you have it in. All right, so what are the best, how do we shred belly fat fast? Well, unfortunately, where you gain body fat is genetically determined. That's why some people are more curvy. Some men typically have big bellies, right? Everybody gains weight in different places and preferentially in different places. Most men gain it in their bellies. Women gain it in the hips, belly, and breasts. and in the back. You know what I mean? So everybody gains it a little bit differently, and you lose it. Like for instance, if you were just like for me, I gain it in my love handles, my stomach, and then my face. That's where I gain it. Okay. It usually starts in my love handles and in my lower belly, and then it ends up in my face. So where am I going to see the most progress when I am in a fat loss phase? I'm going to see it in my face first because it's the last place that I gain it. Because if your body has a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 best places to store fat for you, when you start losing, it's going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And number 1 is usually the most stubborn place on your body. And for most people, that's the hips, if you're a lady, and the lower abdomen for men. Okay. So there's no way to shred belly fat. You just need to shred fat. And the best way to do that is, as we covered in the first few questions, it's through strength training, being in a calorie deficit, being with sensible foods, making sure you're getting plenty of protein, plenty of veggies, fibrous veggies, staying full, drinking plenty of water, bam. Getting lots of steps in each day, 7 to 15,000 steps a day, 7,000 to 15,000 steps a day. And you know what? Making sure that you're sleeping. It is simple in its equation. It is more difficult in its execution because there's so many other things that get in the way. We have to really work on developing these habits, okay? So you can't just shred belly fat. And I don't care if you see those stupid things that are like rubbing the fat away or putting the TENS unit on you and making your abs flex. If you fall for that, I'm gonna tell you right now, you're a sucker. The body does not work this way, right? I mean, you can spot reduce very minimally in certain areas, but usually that's because you make those areas bigger with muscle. Okay, so if you train your arms really hard, they will look leaner simply because there are bigger muscles underneath there pushing through. Okay, so you can't spot reduce like that. What's number 6? What should I eat before a workout? This is actually a good question, unlike number 1. Okay, this is a good question. What should you eat? The best way to do this, according to the most concurrent research, is that you should have about 15 grams of carbohydrate. It doesn't matter on the person or the size of the person. About 15 grams of carbohydrate, something like a handful of blueberries or strawberries, great. Half a banana, it's about 15 grams of carbohydrates. And then you need about 0.15 grams of protein per pound of body weight before. So this is why something like a workout shake. So for me, that comes out to about 30 grams. Okay. 200 pounds times 0.15 is about 30. Okay. So for me, a great pre-workout meal is some low-fat cottage cheese, like 2 servings of it with some blueberries, maybe a little bit of honey on it, or half a banana, or a protein shake, 1.5 scoops or 1 big scoop of protein, some strawberries and some water. You don't need a lot. And chances are the closer you eat that towards the workout, like if you eat it 20 minutes before you go work out, those nutrients and those carbohydrates and proteins will not even be available for use during the workout. But it does have a calming effect on the body. A little bit of insulin release does calm things down. It does help put you in a state that's ready to exercise. The studies do show that fasted training does not perform as well as fed training, meaning going and working out on an empty stomach typically gives you worse results, meaning you don't push as hard in the workout, you don't have as much stamina in the workout as if you were when you were fed. Now, when you are fed, you should be fed minimally. You shouldn't go eat a giant meal and then go work out. If that's if you're looking for the best performance. So I say something like a smoked protein shake with a little bit of berries in it. Perfect. A little bit of cottage cheese, low-fat cottage cheese, and half a banana. Great. Some egg whites with half an apple. Great, right? Like all that's super easy. So having a little bit of protein and having some carbs helps. In your pre-workout meal, you don't want to have a bunch of fats in the pre-workout meal because that slows everything down usually. It slows down digestion pretty significantly, but it also, um, having fat with your regular meals is a great strategy to not be hungry because it slows things down. Okay, this is why usually when you have a smoothie, you're hungry within an hour or so after because one, you pre-digested it by blending it. So all the fiber is already broken down. So there's no breaking down in your stomach. And then two, usually they are protein and carbohydrate only, and mostly carbohydrate for most people because they're throwing in a bunch of fruit and honey and everything else, right? And they're saying, oh, well, it's natural sugar. Well, your body doesn't care if it's natural sugar. It doesn't go, this tastes like honey. I should do that differently. Nope. Once it hits the bloodstream, it's a chemical reaction, and it's going to break everything apart in its own respective chemical bonds, and it's going to deal with them specifically based off of their chemical signaling, right? So fructose is going to go through the liver, sucralose is going to be broken down into glucose and fructose as well. So it's like everything's going to be broken apart. Your body doesn't know that you got organic honey that was made from bees with wildflowers in Switzerland. Your body does not give a rip about that because it's just doing what it does with food and making it into chemical energy. Okay, so make sure your pre-workout meal is protein, about 0.15 grams, 1.15 grams per pound of body weight. And if you're a lot heavier, like if you have a lot of weight to lose, like I work with some people who are in the 400 pound range, then it's just going to be sensible. Like whatever your height is, whatever your height is, go divide that by, multiply that times 2. That's about how many grams you need a day. And then divide that by like 4 or 5, and then you get about 20-30 grams. But most people, if you get 20-30 grams of pre-workout protein with about 15 grams of carbs, you're going to feel great, okay? And you do that about an hour, 45 minutes before you work out, you're going to feel a lot better. Okay, so last question, number 7. What does a pre-workout do? Well, just like most supplements, mostly nothing, okay? So when you ask what a pre-workout does, most people are thinking it's going to give them some form of benefit in the workout or post-workout. Unfortunately, the only additive in most pre-workouts that actually has data to support it is caffeine in the workout process, because you do tend to be stimulated. You tend to feel like you're ready to work out more. And even with caffeine, much of the research is showing that it's psychological anyway, because now you're like, I had caffeine. So you get this placebo effect that you should be more alert. So you are more alert. Okay. So most pre-workouts don't do anything. They're expensive and they can be detrimental to your guts too if you take too much of it. You don't have to go very far and talk to guys who have tried to get jacked on the pre-workout and to get the veins pumping, and you just end up in the toilet. Okay, so pre-workouts, in my opinion, just like BCAAs, are a waste of money. They are a way to make money. They have usually poor ingredients, and you usually just have plenty of stimulants to make you feel like something's happening, but they don't help you yield more workout gains. Any psychological effects are just that, they're psychological effects. So that might help in that you might work harder because you think the pre-workout's pushing you, right? So that could be a benefit, but mostly you're just spending money to psych yourself up and thinking that's going to work. A good old cup of coffee, real coffee, not go to Dunkin' Donuts and get to 47 grams of carbohydrates or sugar with, they have one thing that's like, if you get a large of it, it's like 106 grams of carbohydrates in it. That's dessert. You don't eat, dessert doesn't help you, okay? Coffee helps you, or tea, that helps you. Something that's low calorie, but has a little stimulation to it is gonna be beneficial. All right, so, hey guys, that is everything. Those are the 7 most Googled questions according to Gemini's AI. Hopefully it's informative to you. It's a bit rudimentary for some things that we talk about in here, but hopefully it is informative for you, and just reinforcing that if you are doing these things, like if you're lifting weights, you're getting plenty of steps in, you're watching your sleep, you're prioritizing protein at every meal, and you're trying to keep the junk food to a minimum and the real food to a premium, then you're on the right track. You're doing the right things, okay? And things will come as you continue to push that rock up the hill, okay? But if you're one of these people who are Googling these types of questions and you're looking for shortcuts, like what's the fastest way to do this, or what's the number one food for fat loss, or those are all quick fix mentalities. And one secret in the fitness industry is that there is no secret to this. There's no hidden knowledge. There's no secret knowledge. I don't care what V-Shred says. That dude's a charlatan. I don't care what your carnivore doctor says. It's not just the carbs making you fat. You might have hormonal issues. That does happen. But there's no secret to this. It's not just cut the carbs out. It's not just eat meat only. It's not just go on a vegan diet. There's no one solution that's going to fix all this. This is a combination of habits and using information accurately so that you can achieve your goals. All right? So thank you guys for joining me. We love you. God bless. Hey there, guys. I want to take a quick second to highlight a partner that we've been working with lately, Upgraded Formulas. You can see them at upgradedformulas.com. I have personally been taking their Upgraded T formula to support natural testosterone production. I've noticed it after a few months. I've noticed I've had a bit more mental clarity. My rest is a little better, and I'm recovering a bit better from my workouts, which was actually surprising. So I'm able to exercise just a bit more. I love to exercise, so that's a bonus for me. Women can also take this because healthy testosterone levels in women help with fat loss, mental clarity, muscle gain, things like that. And also, the estrogen and testosterone go together hand in hand. If you support one, the other does pretty well as well. So definitely check them out. Also, they do something really great I want to highlight, a hair mineral analysis, where you send them a little chunk of your hair, and they will let you know if you're deficient in anything or if you have too much of something like heavy metals in your system. So what this does is this is a great thing to help give you data on your health so that you can make decisions. None of this is a miracle cure. All of it is just information to help you make better decisions around your health and supplementation. All right, so really check them out. They're doing some really great quality. They're seeing some huge results, and I believe they're going to have some clinical studies coming out pretty soon. So check them out, upgradedformulas.com. Use the code ADAM10 to get a 10% discount today.